Pluto, what used to be the 9th member of planets in our solar system, actually was discovered in 1930 by Clyde Tenenbaum. And here he is working, I think it's Wilson Observatory. And it's just tedious, meticulous work. Basically, will look at a series of images that were taken of the nighttime sky, and he would look for something to move. And it's called a blink comparator. He would compare last night to this night to the next night, and he saw actually the faint light of Pluto, sunlight that's reflecting off Pluto's surface, and he identified Pluto. So as you probably know, Pluto is, as you know, Pluto's no longer a planet. It's considered a dwarf planet, and I am in favor of this designation. It failed, actually. There's 3 criteria to be a planet. The object needs to orbit the sun, which Pluto does, and the object needs to be, I think this is it. The object needs to be spherical, and actually Pluto is. That is a function of its size. But the 3rd criteria is an object needs to have cleared its path of other material. And Pluto, actually, if you look how it goes in its orbit about the sun, it has other crumblies out there. Pluto, instead of being a full-fledged planet, it actually is part of a group of objects that are located in the Kuiper belt. So, and it kind of makes sense if you think of, we have our 4 gas giants, our 4 Jovian planets. It does not fit that criteria. It'd be more like a terrestrial planet, but it's really not even large enough to have cleared its region of its disk, its orbital path around the sun. So anyway, it's much more similar to the Kuiper belt objects. Now, the Kuiper belt objects have a rocky part, and they also have an icy part. And the next the next part in lecture, I'm going to talk about comets. And actually, as it turns out, Pluto is, excuse me, Pluto is much more like a comet than a planet. So Pluto, though, is an exciting dwarf planet. We've known for some time now that Pluto has its own moons, and so we've added to those moons. It is now up to, I believe, 5 moons that orbit. The biggest moon that orbits Pluto is called Charon. Charon is so big, though, relative to the planet Pluto, that instead of Pluto being in the center, what we say the common center of mass is actually kind of between Pluto and Charon. So they kind of do a dance more than kind of Charon orbiting Pluto. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, yes. And Pluto was recently, about over a year ago, had an encounter with the spacecraft New Horizons. That is just an amazing feat. I'm going to take you out, I think, to show you what that spacecraft saw during its flyby. Flybys have to be a scary, scary thing for scientists. I just don't know. You know, I think that would be so unnerving. We watched it as images were sent back. So this is one of the images that was sent back by New Horizons of Pluto. We had never seen Pluto this up and personal. Can you see kind of this heart shape here? So people that think Pluto actually should be a planet, you said, see, it's got a heart. Now it should be a planet. So that's beautiful, Pluto. New Horizons then is continuing its mission now out into the Kuiper belt. So that's exciting. Speaking of Kuiper belt, the Kuiper belt, I think I mentioned when we talked about what's in our solar system, but the way this works is the sun is in here, there's the sun, and here we have the planets, okay, orbiting the sun. And then if you go out straight, kind of in the disk of how the planets orbit the sun, we have what's called the Kuiper belt. So that's the Kuiper belt. Now, and in the Kuiper belt, we have materials kind of like Pluto. They're rocky, icy objects that were kind of scooted out there about the time that the sun turned on with all of its solar wind. Then you can kind of see this stuff up here. This actually is called the Oort cloud, this material. So that's how that works.